There are great driving roads, and then there's the Transfăgăraș Highway. Chiselled into the apex of Romania's Carpathian Mountains, it's as if a supreme being reached down from the heavens and laid out the finest scale electric track for his or her pleasure. You might have seen it on an episode of Top Gear, where Clarkson, Hammond and May climbed it in an Aston Martin DBS Volante, Ferrari California and Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. Very nice. But car likes a bit of a challenge, so we plan to drive it in this. The Dacia Spring, which will be the UK's cheapest electric car when it's on sale in 2024. The car's official electric range is just 137 miles, and less than that when you're climbing 2,000 metres up a mountain in 37 degrees centigrade heat. Plus, the distance from Bucharest to the Transfăgăraș's focal point, Balia Lake, is 217 miles. We picked up the Spring in Bucharest this morning and we've driven about 100 kilometres to Pitești, our first charging stop. And it's gone pretty well. We've got a 50 kilowatt DC charger. The Spring can only take about 34 kilowatts, so it's been charging nicely. Slight blip, but we're almost at 100% now and almost ready to go to our destination. So we're going to head northwest, up through Romania, discover Romania and get to know the Spring. The Spring is Dacia's first electric car, which is assembled in China and sold there as a Renault and Dongfeng model. That helps deliver a low price, as does the car's simplicity. It's just over 3.7 metres long, and by offering a modest 26.8 kilowatt-hour battery and only essential equipment, the Spring weighs less than 1 tonne. There's a choice of 2 front motors. The base motor produces just 44 brake horsepower, which will be the entry-level UK car costing around £18,000. We've got the Extreme Electric 65 edition, sending 64 brake horsepower to the front wheels and accelerating from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 13.7 seconds. While this hardware will remain the same for UK cars, our Spring will get a facelift and new features such as lane assistance and a speed limit warning to meet 2024 safety regulations.
This stretch of motorway feels a bit like the Autobahn in the Spring, because there are cars absolutely pelting up behind you and you've got to make sure you're not blocked in behind a slower moving vehicle, otherwise you're going to lose loads of momentum. And the thing about the soft suspension setup at the steering is you come out, change lane, and then when you try and correct back, you can have this slightly pronounced listing action because of that soft suspension and lack of anti-roll. So sometimes you find yourself listing from lane to lane, position to position, and camber also does that to you.
From Pitești, we take the DN7 north, a key artery through this part of Romania. It's not a motorway, but a single-lane road absolutely choked with big lorries that have no option but to stampede through residential areas. With no exit lanes, it's hard to get on and off it, and the odd hairpin really keeps you on your toes.
The Spring Extreme Electric 65 has a 64 brake horsepower motor turning the front wheels, and the 0 to 62 time is slow. It's 13.7 seconds, but that doesn't quite do justice to the power delivery. It's actually really good at delivering torque low down instantly, like all electric cars, but it doesn't have the shove of a Tesla. Of course it's not going to with 64 brake horsepower, but it's fast enough to accelerate you up to speed, and that's a good thing when you've got these massive HGVs bearing down on you on this single track road. Where you do feel the lack of grunt across the rev range with the motor is at the top end. So if you're accelerating up from say 90 kilometers an hour up to 130 kilometers an hour, which is the maximum motorway speed in Romania, that can be really incremental and it takes ages. So bear in mind, this is not a car for big overtakes on a single road like this. However, that is not what this car is for. This is a car for nipping about the city. It's perfect to just nip through narrow streets, past obstacles like stone steps and pedestrians taking photos. And it was absolutely in its element, just jinking through the clogged city streets.
Into the late afternoon and the DN7 traffic lightens and we climb higher and higher, winding our way through the beautiful Alt River Valley. The spring just isn't at ease at motorway speeds, where noticeable tyre and wind noise infiltrate the cabin and the nose needs quite a lot of correction. But the softly sprung suspension typically makes for a supple, comfortable ride. And the spring is very efficient. Although it takes 2 top-up charges to reach our final stop for the day, we only add 26 kilowatt hours in total, meaning the Spring Extreme has managed an impressive 4.73 miles per kilowatt hour. With the car fully charged, we're ready for tomorrow's early morning ascent on the Trans-for-Garashan Highway.
So here we are. It's just gone 6 o'clock in the morning. We're in the Carpathian Mountains, climbing up through the forests, hopefully going to see one of the finest views across one of the finest roads in Europe. Popped out at the top and we're in this kind of glacial valley. It is absolutely stunning up here, and you can probably see the green and white pylons to the side. There are these pillars supporting big concrete overhangs to prevent rock falls onto the road. Here's more of a hairpin. Now the Spring has quite a soft suspension. You can feel it's a very light car for an electric car, and it's got a certain agility. It's got a lovely, almost French quality ride. It's really composed, it's really nice, longitudinal compliance, real suppleness, and it is such a unpretentious, pleasant car. So the steering's pretty much what you'd expect of a city car. It's not super quick off the dead ahead, it's modestly weighted, it's pretty light, and it's the feel of the pedals that's really nice. You get on the accelerator and it responds pretty quickly. It has got that fast response to it, and the brake pedal's really nice as well. It's a nice crisply responding brake pedal, gives you that retardation as soon as you call for it.
By 9 AM, the Trans-for-Garashan is getting busy with cars and tourist buses coming up the mountain. But we've had Europe's greatest road, a real highway to heaven, largely to ourselves for a few hours. It was a spectacular drive in Dacia's charming, efficient and great value electric car, which is coming to the UK in the second half of 2024.